Today, we're diving into the captivating saga of two tech visionaries who rode the wave of social networks, giving birth to the very precursor of Facebook. They were embroiled in a conflict with Mark Zuckerberg for years and eventually moved on, embracing the monumental potential of cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, becoming iconic figures in the ecosystem. You probably guessed it, we're talking about the Winklevoss twins, Tyler and Cameron, the most famous duo in the crypto universe and early investors. They are the founders of a AAA exchange and the first to become billionaires in Bitcoin, not counting Satoshi, of course. Stick with us till the end of the video. We'll explain why they believe Bitcoin could reach $500,000 in a few years. The story of the Winklevoss twins begins on August 21st, 1981 in Southampton, a charming town on Long Island, close to New York. After some adventures, the Winklevoss family made their home in Greenwich, Connecticut, a swanky enclave several miles from New York. It's in this affluent suburb that Tyler and Cameron spent their childhood, attending the prestigious Greenwich County Day School. As a fun fact, as adults, the brothers made a substantial $10 million donation to the very same school. Their father, Howard Winklevoss Jr., a successful author and university professor, orchestrated a comfortable life for the two brothers, hailing from an affluent upper-middle-class American family. However, this comfort starkly contrasted with the modest roots of the Winklevoss lineage. August Winklevoss, the twins' great-great-grandfather, was a German coal miner whose grueling work ultimately cost him his life. His son, the brother's great-grandfather, followed in his footsteps, becoming a miner at 8 years old, with a similarly tragic fate. Continuing the family tradition, Howard Winklevoss Sr., the grandfather, also started in the mines, but after a few years, decided to launch his own business, attempting to ride the wave of the completely crazy new invention of the time, the automobile. It's important to put things in context here. At the end of the 19th century, the first cars were hardly suited for dirt roads, had almost no autonomy, moved at the same speed or even slower than a horse-drawn carriage, and were often compared by the general public to rolling coffins. Look at what the president of Michigan Bank said in 1903 to Henry Ford when the latter asked for a loan for his startup, the famous Ford Motor Company. "The horse is here to stay. The automobile is just a passing fad." To give you another example of the mindset at the time, the Locomotive Act, introduced by the British Parliament in 1865, required vehicles of the time to be preceded by a man on foot waving a red flag and warning pedestrians on the roadway. Interestingly, there's a story that Walter Arnold received the very first speeding fine in automobile history in January 1896 for going 13 kilometers per hour, which was 4 times over the maximum speed limit of the city at the time. In 1904, the New York Times reported a debate in Paris between a brain specialist and a doctor on the dangers of driving automobiles at high speeds, because apparently the brain could have been severely damaged if one traveled over 80 kilometers an hour. Yet a number of visionaries saw beyond these obstacles and understood that automobiles had the potential to revolutionize the transportation industry and the world. If highways and parking lots were built, and if the ergonomics, speed, safety, and autonomy of these large iron boxes on 4 wheels were significantly improved, the impact on society could be immense. Individuals like Gottlieb Daimler, Armand Peugeot, or Henry Ford understood this all before everyone else, and it allowed them to build empires. As Oscar Wilde said, "The future belongs to those who see possibilities before they become obvious." Grandfather Winklevoss was part of this lineage of visionaries by opening a garage at a time when nobody believed in it. Everybody thought he was crazy. It's somewhat amusing to note that the criticisms the elders had of automobiles, and in fact all new inventions, are almost word for word repeated today, but this time against Satoshi Nakamoto's invention. Bitcoin is useless. Bitcoin is dangerous. Bitcoin won't work. Bitcoin is an environmental disaster. All these criticisms will likely be just as laughable in a few decades as those of the poor president of the Michigan Bank we mentioned earlier. In short, the entrepreneurial spirit was inherited by the twins' father, who made a fortune with a thriving consulting business, Winklevoss Consultants. And that brings us to Tyler and Cameron. The combination of their mother's discipline and their father's entrepreneurial spirit guided the twins on the path to success. Excelling at school, they developed a passion for various fields, notably rowing and computing. Tyler, right-handed, and Cameron, left-handed, formed an inseparable pair, demonstrating exceptional teamwork skills, a symbiosis that accompanied them throughout their journey. By the age of 13, they began coding, and with the help of their father, they launched their very first web design business. Their exemplary academic journey led them to Brunswick School, one of the most prestigious private schools in the US. In 2000, after an exceptional exceptional school career, the twins entered Harvard, choosing to study economics while establishing themselves as rowing champions. In the university records, the media referred to them as the Twin Towers, trained and guided by the legendary Harry Parker, an exceptionally renowned rower in the field. For a bit of background, they even participated in the Beijing Olympics, taking 6th place in the men's pair rowing event without a coxswain. But the story really starts getting interesting at the end of 2002. A discussion with their classmate Divya Narendra leads to a simple idea: creating a website that facilitates the connection of students on Harvard's campus. This is the birth of Harvard Connection, later renamed Connect You, the very first social network on the web. But there's a problem. The idea is there, but they don't really have the time to develop the project. In November 2003, Narendra mentions to the two brothers a developer, quite talented and hardworking, who might help them. That's where Mark Zuckerberg comes into the picture. At this point, Connect You is already quite advanced, almost ready to launch really. Mark agrees to finish it all. As depicted in the movie The Social Network, Zuckerberg ultimately decides to secretly develop his own social network rather than the one imagined by the twins, playing a double game throughout that period. On February 6, 2004, there's a major shock. The Winklevoss twins discover the launch of thefacebook.com. Not only is their site not ready, but Mark has stolen their idea. Worse, he deliberately leaves the code incomplete and non-functional. In a rush, the twins finalize Connect You with another programmer, finally making it operational on May 2nd of the same year, only 3 months after the Facebook. But the network effect is already too strong. Stopping the machine is impossible. Mark even goes as far to exploit a flaw in the brothers' site code to create a fake profile for Cameron Winklevoss, falsely presenting him as a white supremacist. Subsequently, several private messages from Mark were made public, revealing that Zuckerberg was actually contemplating betraying Tyler and Cameron from the very beginning of their collaboration. As you may know, if you've seen the film, the first season of this saga concludes in 2008 when Mark Zuckerberg is forced to pay $20 million and approximately $45 million in Facebook shares to the two brothers as compensation. Yet, for Tyler and Cameron, this is by no means a victory. To this day, they harbor deep bitterness towards the whole affair, and particularly towards Mark Zuckerberg. Following this, the two brothers embark on a quest for new opportunities. They invest in a few startups with their Winklevoss Capital Fund, but they lack a big, significant project. However, everything changes during the summer of 2012 at a party in Ibiza. They meet David Azar, a New York entrepreneur. It's mid-afternoon, the sky is blue, the sun is shining. The two brothers are leaning on the bar. The thumping of techno music in the background makes the glasses vibrate. In an atmosphere reminiscent of Burning Man, a stranger approaches them to strike up a conversation. He knows very well who they are. The Winklevoss twins are noticeable. After the usual pleasantries, David quickly gets to the heart of the matter. You know, currency is a social network, and apparently you guys know a thing or two about that. But seriously, money connects people. It's a form of communication, and it's time it became truly digital. Have you heard of Bitcoin? Stay right on top of the crypto wave by hitting that subscribe button on the GA Crypto channel. Our awesome crew is all about dishing out the freshest insights, so you don't miss a thing. Join us and let's ride this crypto journey together. The two brothers exchange a quizzical look, wondering who this mysterious character might be. Imagine a currency that is completely digital, decentralized, exchangeable like an email. No intermediaries, no central authority. Money moving at the speed of light on the internet. The twins go back to partying as if nothing happened, but it was already too late. They'd swallowed the orange pill. Back in the US, they devour everything they can find on the subject. But mind you, it's 2012. The journey to understanding is arduous. There's no GA Crypto or all other media or resources available today to learn and understand what Satoshi Nakamoto's invention truly is. In New York, they meet again with David Azar, who spends hours answering all their questions and explaining in more detail the ins and outs of Satoshi Nakamoto's invention. Tyler and Cameron are going down the rabbit hole. It's all thanks to, or because of, David, depending on how you see it, that the two brothers meet Charlie Shrem, the co-founder of BitInstant, an exchange platform of that time. Quite quickly, Tyler and Cameron decide to invest $1.5 million to boost the company's growth. For a bit of trivia, Roger Ver was also involved. For the newcomers, Roger Ver is quite a figure. He was longtime dubbed Bitcoin Jesus by the community for traveling the world in Bitcoin's early years to spread the good word. Then he became more of a Judas to many during the block size war when he decided to support Bitcoin Cash. According to Roger, Charlie shouldn't accept the twins' money. He sees them somewhat as opportunists, financiers, establishment people, not true Bitcoiners. But Charlie accepts the deal anyway and partners with the Winklevosses. In just a few months, the company explodes. explodes. It absorbs close to 20% of the market share. In 2013, 30% of all Bitcoin transactions go through BitInstant, but deep disagreements in the management of the company quickly arise, and within months, the situation deteriorates completely. To make a long story short, the platform collapses and ceases operation in July 2013. And a few months later, in January 2014, Charlie Shrem is arrested for allegedly attempting to launder and sell over $1 million of Bitcoin to users of Silk Road, a platform where you could buy just about anything at the time. Charlie ends up serving 2 years in prison. Upon his release in 2016, the twins sue him, accusing him of stealing over 5,000 Bitcoin from them. However, Shrem is in financial disaster. His funds are frozen, he's completely bankrupt, and he never ends up reimbursing the twins. If you think the last bear market tested your convictions about Bitcoin, it's absolutely nothing compared to what happened in 2013 and 2014. The dismantling of Silk Road, followed by the collapse of Mt. Gox, was panic in the industry, if you can call it an industry back then. Despite all these mishaps, the two brothers are absolutely convinced of the potential of Satoshi Nakamoto's invention. Bitcoin is a revolution that will sweep everything in its path, and they wanted to be a part of it. They go quite big as a result. It's estimated that the Winklevoss twins invested around $11 million during this period when Bitcoin was oscillating at around $10 each. The two brothers still hold close to 70,000 Bitcoin today, placing them in the very exclusive group of billionaire Bitcoiners. They're also convinced, after the troubles with Mt. Gox, that a secure and reliable platform is essential for the future of the ecosystem. They embark on a quest to find entrepreneurs and startups capable of creating an exchange worthy of the name. Their criteria are clear: compliance and security. On January 23rd, 2015, they unveiled to the world their new project, Gemini. The goal is clear: bring together the best experts in security, blockchain technology, and financial engineering to build a global crypto platform. It marked the beginning of a new era in their entrepreneurial journey. Today, Gemini manages nearly $8 billion in assets, holds licenses in the US, Greece, Ireland, Italy, and the UK, as well as several compliance certifications. The exchange currently supports 87 different cryptocurrencies, offers 430 trading pairs, and operates in more than 70 countries. It's ranked 14th on CoinMarketCap. Gemini is one of the behemoths of the industry. From the start, the Winklevoss twins have been pro-regulation. They believe that the adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies won't happen without it, and they have made numerous statements and appearances advocating for a clear, reliable, and fair regulatory framework. For your information, they filed the very first application for a Bitcoin spot ETF in the US, and that was back in 2013. And yes, folks, we've been waiting for over 10 years. It's hard to find anyone more bullish on Bitcoin than the two brothers. They were already predicting in August 2020 in this article that Bitcoin would reach $500,000 in the coming years. The paper argues that Satoshi Nakamoto's invention, due to its absolute scarcity, fixed supply, portability, and status as the first native currency of the internet, will be considered the only long-term protection against inflation, surpassing the dollar, gold, and even real estate. Tyler and Cameron's article also explains why the dollar, gold, or real estate have been used for decades to protect against inflation, while advocating for Bitcoin as a simply superior technology in all aspects, except one: adoption, meaning the trust of the people. And that seems quite logical. The process of the emergence of a new monetary proxy is a long and complicated one. It's the widespread recognition and use within a population that makes a monetary technology a true currency. It takes time for trust to crystallize around a new value transfer tool within a group. Bitcoin is simply a new technology for exchanging value that has been specifically designed to be the best possible currency, just as the car was specifically designed by humans to be the best means of transportation. Before that, we used horses, who weren't necessarily designed for that, those poor things. In any case, the two brothers perfectly echo the now famous aphorism by Yves Chouefati: gold is just Bitcoin, but worse. According to them, the adoption of Satoshi Nakamoto's invention will accelerate in the coming years. As Mark Andreessen says, software is eating the world, and the next target is gold. If you want the story of another modern-day visionary, I highly recommend this video on Michael Saylor. He's another key figure in the Bitcoin ecosystem with a very unique and fascinating life journey.